What do you think is actually the future of developmental measurement of nature? Do you think that nature will ever have a value? Because if you don't have a value, you can't preserve it. And natural value is always converted in economics and it goes into stock exchange. And this actually was a result of Bretton Woods in the 30s because of the measurement of value which the Americans and Western nations brought about. They brought about better, brighter, faster, cheaper. So returns every 3 months, destroy the mines, take it away so that we could destroy. What is your view that will nature ever be valued and could India take a lead on it?
Thank you. I do consider that nature and economics are inseparable. The development path that we are all pursuing, not just in our country or in our neighborhood, but globally, is bound to impact all our lives, not necessarily through economic channels alone, but through nature also. And especially, we, people of India, people of Asia, are living in a region which is the most happening region in the 21st century. The global power axis, which was located somewhere in between Western Europe and America in the last century in the Pacific Atlantic region, has today shifted to our neighborhood, to the Indian Ocean Indo-Pacific region. It is here that the fastest growing economies exist. It is here that the world's three largest economies exist: China, Japan, and India. It is here that the purchasing power exists. That also means it is here that the next 100 years will see major developmental activity taking place. If we do not marry that development activity with proper measures to safeguard, preserve our nature, first to be doomed will be we in this region. I'm certainly very conscious of the challenge, but as you also pointed out, we need to balance it out between how we give better living standards to our people, at the same time, how we are able to preserve the ecological balance also. Especially today, we are faced with challenges of rising sea levels. Many countries in our region, if you take Indian Ocean region, whether it is Maldives, or it is Seychelles, or it is even bigger countries like Indonesia, are hugely concerned about rising sea levels. Today, Indonesia is contemplating of building a new capital, shifting from Jakarta, taking capital to hinterland, meaning spending billions and billions of dollars on rebuilding a capital. So that is the kind of challenge that we are also going to face in the next decades. So we must come together. I strongly feel that just as in the last century, to take development in a properly balanced manner forward, the nations in European continent came together to form what we today call as European Parliament and European Union. Time has come for us to now form an Indian Ocean, if possible, an Indian Ocean Parliament, otherwise at least an Indian Ocean Union, Indian Ocean Conference, to come together and discuss about future of our ecology, marine ecology, sea levels, our glaciers, our continents, our islands especially. The most dangerous challenge is for our island nations. So to think about them, to strategize, to network, to work together, we all have to come together. Indian Ocean has to become very active now. Today, let me just add one sentence to close this point. Today, for many world powers, Indian Ocean or Indo-Pacific is strategy. But please remember, for us, it is destiny.
Wow.
Countries who live here, who exist here, for us, it is our destiny. We cannot simply look at it as a strategic region. We have to look at it as our future, our destiny.
Absolutely. Very, very well said, Dr. Madhav. I also think that what you said is a very big idea. I think this idea of having a, a parliament in this sub-region and in the Indian Ocean sub-region and also the Bay of Bengal area is absolutely critical. And that whole thing can be to replace the current models that actually the West are facing. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. The second thing I wanted to ask really was pertaining to India. Can India not take a leadership, just as the Western world took a leadership starting from the Industrial Revolution in energy? They took energy in the 1700s. We were hunter-gatherers, agriculture people. Then we went on to the Industrial Revolution. From the Industrial Revolution, it was a technology revolution. From the technology revolution, we are at that edge of machine learning and AI. But I think the next big revolution, if there's a framework of development, it is actually the ecological revolution, or the naturenomics revolution, we call it. So don't we think that India should be the first country to have the ecological budget presented by the Prime Minister, followed by the financial budget, followed by the healthcare budget, and followed by the education budget? I purposefully mentioned these three because social dynamics of rural India is absolutely critical in this inclusion, a point that you actually referred to just now. Development cannot just be at the top, development has to be at the bottom. So the question is, should we not have an ecological budget? Should we not lead the world with that, with the Prime Minister having the ecological budget, saying these are our ecological assets? From last year to this year, we built this much in terms of ecology, this much in terms of healthcare, this much in terms of education. And now my finance minister will present the finance budget. What do you think to that?
No, that will be an excellent idea. India definitely being a very large country with huge population, next only to China, and we cannot escape from the responsibility because of our size of the country, size of our population, we are also adding a lot of emissions to overall pollution of the earth. So we must take the lead. I only say that era of one country leadership is over. I mean,
yeah.
Rather than talking about India taking the leadership, I would say India should take the lead. India should be the front runner in addressing the necessary climate challenges. Number one is its responsibility. Number two, as a nation, as a culture, as a society, we have always been eco-friendly people. We always regarded nature as mother. In our ancient scriptures, we called it Mata Prithvi. The earth is my mother. This is where our whole concept of nature begins. Unlike the Western idea of exploitation of nature, we always looked at nature as mother. We should only milk it. We should not exploit it. So we should take lead in not only putting in place certain very important things like the ones that you are suggesting, maybe a climate budget, but also to give good new ideas to the entire world. So that responsibility we should definitely take on our shoulders. There is always this challenge. I was going through some debate some people make that, you see, West has destroyed nature for 150 years. Now they are forcing us, who are the developing nations, to pay the price. No, this is not a time to talk in terms of tutu mai mai. We do that discourse. That time is no longer the time now. That is no longer the debate today. Okay, whatever has been done in the past has been done. But today, it has to be the collective responsibility of each and every nation, especially the big nations, big countries. What pains me is, G20 meets at Rome and refuses to come to a consensus on emission controls. Then all the G20 leaders, 2 days after refusing to come together, build a consensus, go to Glasgow, give lectures to the entire world. Can we accept this kind of behavior? Those who damage nature are not people, sir. It is governments, their policies.
Yes.
Governments refuse to come to a consensus. And they want people to now protect the nature. Of course, people should do that. You and I, as NGO organizations, will do that. But a larger, greater responsibility is on the governments. In that, I believe that India should, pave the way for a new approach to ecological management, nature preservation. I totally agree with you. Maybe we should come out with the ecology budget first, then economy budget.
Right. No, thank you for supporting. I had just an example to give. If we take the value of Arunachal forests and we just took the basic value, we created a financial asset class in 100 square kilometers. And we said if we cut all the bamboo, which was 6% of that, all the teak wood, which was mature over 30 years, we actually totaled all the medicinal plants and all the food plants, etc. The value of that, and actually if you did a discounted cash flow, will be more than the value of the industry of Maharashtra. So actually we are looking at GDP as in gross development product. It should be the green development product. I think this whole nature of valuing it, and therefore last year also when I spoke to say Amitabh Khan, meaning it's on record, he said, no, we will talk to the Prime Minister and we'll do this and that. And you know how NGOs, we actually want to do it. We gave papers because we believe that put it up for debate. Why shouldn't every state talk about its ecological budget? And Arunachal suddenly will be valued as the #1 state. Then we'll start looking at Arunachal and our border issues with China very differently. Because right now, if industry was there, we would also look at it differently. We'll have many platoons of people posted, forget the Air Force, Army, and 20,000 airfields that we build there. I believe that what you said is so vital. How do we also publicize? You see, the Prime Minister went to Glasgow. I think he made very relevant points. I don't agree to always all the points, but he made 5 very big points. Of those 5 points, meaning 4 are absolutely implementable. All of them he is actually committed 2030. Only 1 point he said 2070 and people are criticizing him. What are the managers of India doing? The managers, the bureaucrats, all of us. Actually, we should be popularizing it. That's why I sent you that document yesterday, the wins and the losses. We have to also celebrate that we've come to recognize this because our Prime Minister is from a developmental zone, Gujarat, where he's grown up and everything was economics. But he himself has recognized the necessity of green, not only when he was in Gujarat, but also at COP. How do we actually bring in some kind of energy into our government to promote that we are also taking a lead and we are actually sort of saying, this is what we should do, these 5 points, and forget 2070. We can always bring it forward if the first 4 happen. And if everybody spoke with your energy, Mr. Ram Madhav, I think we would be a different country. So over to you to that question, sir.
Ranjit, these are 2 different points. I have 2 different issues to highlight on the 2 points that you mentioned. Firstly, about the green resources we have in India's Northeast and all that. How do we preserve them and how do we ensure that whole green cover further grows so that we will have more of our environmental safeguards more in place in those places. But I have a different take on that. You see, I will continue to pollute in Maharashtra. I will continue to pollute in Gujarat. I will continue to pollute in other developed West Coast states. And I want Arunachal Pradesh to shoulder the responsibility of country's green ecology management. I totally disagree with that approach. In that fashion, just as developed countries are punishing less developed developing countries in the world, developed states are punishing less developed or developing states in the country. So I would urge the environmental movement to focus on the developed states more than the states that are underdeveloped. There, how to preserve the environment is an important issue. I don't understate it. But we need to focus our efforts on states that are more developed. What is today happening is, I will continue to do whatever I want in the name of industrialization and all that. I want Arunachal to issue me green bonds. So yes, they will bring more afforestation. They will do industrialization. I will do. That cannot be the approach. We all have to do a very balanced approach because, after all, people in Arunachal also have aspirations for good life. We should provide them good life. We should give them necessary airports. We should give them necessary railways, necessary roads. But at the same time, we have to do a balanced development elsewhere. This should be the approach. So that is why I feel that this whole campaign has to go right down to town, city, and village level. The macro level is not enough. Macro at the national level, macro at the global level is not enough. It has to be at the micro, village level, state level, city level also. We have to take this campaign. That is number one. Number two, India has done so much in the last, I would say, under Prime Minister Modi. I mean, Prime Minister Modi was one leader. As chief minister, he had championed this cause of solar, alliance of solar countries, solar energy countries. The International Solar Alliance was his brainchild. I distinctly remember having discussions with him in 2011, 2012. Subsequently, Dr. Manmohan Singh as chief minister, in one of the meetings of the chief ministers after Mr. Modi raised this issue, he started articulating about it on the global forums. Finally, after Modi became the prime minister, we have set up this International Solar Alliance. So such great initiatives we have taken. We have done so much in renewables. We have done so much in other 3-4 areas. Yes, on coal-fired, power plant sector, we needed more time, because we must remember, India does not cater only to its own interests. India caters to the interests of countries like Bangladesh, which have 200 million population. If we stop supplying power energy to countries like Bangladesh, their economies will crumble. So India has to move steadily on the path of reducing its coal emissions, for which also it is committed. You all know that India government, Prime Minister Modi, has announced no further coal mining by private companies in India today. So we took so many proactive steps, but unfortunately, our story has not been presented to the world as effectively as it should have been presented. A result is today, some in the West start blaming India for not agreeing to, emission control levels. I mean, it's a wrong kind of presentation of the facts. So India has to narrate its story also effectively. But story apart, India has to today take a lead role in these environmental issues. We were all very happy when Prime Minister, even after President Trump decided to walk out of the Paris protocol, Prime Minister Modi said, no, I am not walking out. I am going to be there. I am going to ensure that the Paris commitments are implemented by one and all. That's the kind of commitment India has shown. Now, India has to now play a proactive role. India only can guide the world, because we also, not only commitment, we also have the wisdom to protect the environment. That wisdom and commitment together is what world needs from India.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that really we can continue this discussion. But just coming back as a rejoinder to your point, when we say about Arunachal, we are not asking them not to handle their aspirations. In fact, we have taken this up with London Business School and Yale University, saying why can't we raise debt on that asset? Suppose 100 square kilometers of building we made, and we call that development. We can raise a debt per flat, per building. But on that forest, we can't raise, and therefore we do not do social mobility. Therefore, we are not doing education, healthcare, roads. We must be able to use that asset, the green asset, just the way industrialization is using their assets to actually kickstart the economy. So I'm sorry if I did not clarify that, but I will definitely have more chance with you, and look forward to again meeting you in the future.
No, thank you. It is a pleasure talking to you. My emphasis will remain that not just India, but India and its neighborhood. When I say neighborhood, it's extended neighborhood in the Indian Ocean region has to come together on this big question of environment, ecology, and economy, which also leads to that important challenge that we are facing, the epidemic. Now, who will decide about the destiny of all of us? Until now, we were depending on countries that are developed in the West. Time has come for us to take things in our own hands. Let all of us come together. Let us decide about the destiny of all of us, but also in the process, Let us build a better future for the entire humanity, entire mankind. So we, the countries in the region, should take things in our hands. For that purpose, I suggested we should have some kind of an arrangement, whether it is parliament or it is just a
That's
loose
a big
network,
idea.
whatever it is. But we have to come together so that we will be the deciding countries of the destiny of our nation, not somebody else coming from some other part of the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Really
Namaskar.
pleasure to meet you, and we will be in touch. Thank you.